Okay. Everybody ready? Here we go. Come on, what do you...
I wish I was a good whistler. I would have joined it. Should we? Can we really do it? Okay. Can you lead us in the? Okay.
Ready? You got it.
I mean, not bad for no rehearsal. You guys did great. So welcome to X-Fest 2.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you here with us.
What a great day it is. All the people here are just spectacular. The weather is great, and it's usually not so great here, I heard.
Well, it's the right time of year.
Yeah.
So what has your experience been like so far today? Have you had the chance to interact with any fans?
Yes. Everyone who has come up to me has been incredibly rude and no.
Security.
No, no, not at all. It was. I just love that the people who I met today seem to know so much about the show and the music and how much the music meant to them, and it was incredibly gratifying because most of the time I'm alone in a room writing music, and once in a while, after they throw some dinner under the door, they let me out. So to come here and to meet everyone is just fabulous, just fantastic. You guys are great and smart. You know, I mean, some of these things, like some of those wacko Comic-Con things, you know, get a little nutty, but everyone I've met so far has been really fantastic.
Well, awesome. I'm glad you're having a good experience so
Great.
far. And the day is just starting, so...
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay, so my first question for you. What is your process in composing a song?
Well, it's not a song. It's mostly the underscore. I look at it as a blank artist canvas, and I think, yikes, what's this going to be? For X-Files, you probably all know, there were basically two big broad stroke things that covered the shows. One was the mythology, where the first movie was based on, and the sound, the music sound was mostly sort of, I was trying to do mostly a traditional, almost somewhat old-fashioned orchestral style score with my home studio stuff. And then the other shows were the standalones, which were some of the most creative shows on TV. Right? Am I right? All right. Oh, man. I mean, each show was like, for me, a mini movie. It was the most fabulous, exciting work I've ever had. And I have done a lot, and a lot of it hasn't been so great. But this show is, has been amazing. So for the mythology shows, it's almost like the same combination of sounds and instruments and themes in a way. But for the standalone, I've tried to make them all different and throw some crazy stuff in there wherever I can, because I was just so inspired by all of those shows. So I sit down, I think, oh my God, look at that. There's this woman with no legs and arms under the bed. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, right? Sure. Yeah. And I'm thinking, remember that show? It was banned in Hungary or all over the world. Who knows? Jeez. But, so I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to do with this? And I just start with one sound, and I think, oh, I don't know about that. Anyway, as the rock and roll song says, one thing leads to another, that's how it kind of is for me, and it just kind of grows. It's hard to really make this abstract thing, put it into words. If I had my keyboard here and all the sounds I have, I could show you, but that's kind of the short answer to that.
How much creative freedom were you given when creating for The X-Files?
Good question. At the beginning, in the pilot, which I have to say, the people at Fox Studios didn't think all that much of it. And one of them actually called Chris Carter and said, quote, "Nice try, Chris." Yikes, really? Okay. He was fired, but, but in typical Hollywood fashion, he found his way back to Fox. I guess that's how it works out there. But what was the question again?
How much creative freedom are you given?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're doing great.
Yes, got it. Okay, so the pilot, they took music from film scores to use as the temp music, or what they showed people before they put the real music in. And that music was mostly ambient kind of sound design. I call it vapor music, right? And they said, we want that. No problem with that. So I started with that, put my hand down on the keyboard. Okay, do that for 30 minutes, whatever. But that became real boring after a while. And I said, I got to try something else. So I started experimenting with some real avant-garde, contemporary things and sounds. And the producers had no idea what it was. And they called up one day and said, gee, what is that stuff you're doing? And I just said one thing. I said, do you like it? And they said, yeah, we love it. That's all you have to worry about. So anyway, and from then on, I was given carte blanche. I basically could do what I want. And for every episode in the 9-year period, somebody from the show came over to my studio in California, Santa Monica, to be specific, and listened to every note. They never said, oh, just send it in. You know, and it was great for them. They got out of the studio, and it was always a fun time. And basically their comments were, oh, when the monster jumps out of the toilet, bang, hit it hard. Okay. No, not that hard. Okay, great. And the rest of the time is, oh, that's great, thank you. Okay, so, and I could see, okay, guys, I gotta finish it now, time to go. Oh, could we just hang around? Oh, get out of here.
So one of the things when I was doing my research is about this echo effect that you created by accident. Right. So can you tell us about the famous echo effect?
Well, it's not such a unique effect, but it seemed to be for the theme of the show. Chris came over and he said, look, we need a theme. I said, okay. And I said, what are you thinking about? And he said, I'm going to give you some CDs, and he told me I like the drums on this, I like the sax here, whatever, I like the singing on this. So I listened to it, I did one version. He came back and said, well, you know, that's really great, but it's just not, you know, it's a little too heavy. I was thinking of something simple. So tried it again, same kind of thing, but he wasn't getting frustrated or worried. Anyway, did it a third time. After the third time, I told him, Chris, why don't you, politely just take off, and I'll try something from scratch. So he walks out the door, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, great, now what? And I put my forearm down on the keyboard, and I had this Echoplex delay effect, which goes like da 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 da, and I said, boom, boom, boom. Oh, that's kind of interesting. What happens if I do a single note? Okay, ping, 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 ping. Oh, that's pretty good. How about 2 notes? Ping, 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 ping. 3 notes? Boom, 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 boom. That's pretty good. Go for 4 notes. I said, hey, wait a minute. That could be a great little accompaniment part. All right. And I thought, okay, good. What's next? Next is just a low pad underneath that. Okay, maybe a little drum hit at the beginning, boom, and something at the end, boom. But other than that, the next assignment basically was, all right, have to come up with a melody. I came up with the simple melody, and all right, but what's going to play it? So I tried everything from violins to flutes to certain keyboard sounds to trumpets, I mean, everything, until in my synthesizer world, there was this old synthesizer called the Proteus 2, something like that. And there was I'm going through the sounds, no, that's not right, how about this thing? And then I came upon number 125, Whistling Joe. And that's the name of the sound, and I played it. And then I played the melody, and I said, wow, that's kind of interesting. It's not a big, fat, loud sci-fi thing, but it's kind of spooky, okay? Anyway, my wife's, this was in a garage studio I had. And my wife hears it outside, and she comes and says, gee, that's interesting, what's that? And I said, well, it looks like it's gonna be, I'd like Chris to hear it. Maybe he'll go for it as a theme. Okay. Anyway, he comes back, he hears it, and in his inimitable, quiet, unemotional way, he says, that's good, I like it, let's go with it. Okay, thank you very much. May I add something to that?
Oh, please.
Okay. So then he says, now we have to go to Fox and play it for the executives. I said, okay, great. So this was in the days of the, check this out, the boombox and cassettes. Yikes. Anyway, he says, okay, meet me at 1 o'clock at room so-and-so, and I'll meet you there, and we'll go in there together, and we'll really sell it. Okay, great. I get there, he sees me, says, oh, shit, I have to go to casting. You can handle it. I said, oh, thank you. Anyway, I go in. 3 actually very nice guys with suits. Now, nothing wrong with suits, and they were nice guys too. So I play it, 3 guys. The first guy says, that is just, I just can't, I have a feeling Bill, and then he goes to the next guy. Next guy does the same thing. You're right, it just feels, I feel something, next guy, the same thing, okay, and then they look at me, well, very good, okay, that's not, And so I leave like, whoa, now what? Okay, show comes out, theme comes on, 3 months later, this show that no one thought was going to be as huge as it was comes out, and the theme, the music becomes noticed, and one of these guys calls up, says, Mark, yeah, this is Bill. Didn't we tell you how great that was? And I said, because I'm smart and I know about Hollywood language, Bill, thank you. I couldn't have done it without you. It was just brilliant.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Well, also, one of the things I think is so incredible is that the song reached #2 on the UK singles chart and #1 in France. Right. Does that happen?
Does it happen?
I mean, it happened clearly, but does something like that happen often?
No. But that sure was fun, especially when I went to France, right? And I'm walking down the street and people are bumping into me and I can't speak French, and I go into a place and, oh gosh, I mean, the point is nobody, because I'm behind the camera, not like Nick or David or Annabeth or Jillian, but when I said, I wrote the theme to the X-Files, and they went, no, you didn't, no, that's someone else. I said, no, here, look, go on Google, you'll see my picture, and they go, holy shit, it is you, oh my God, so that was kind of fun, being in France and having people. So my wife said, don't be a fool. Don't go around. No, don't get people on the street and say, oh, hi, I'm Mark Snow. I did the X-Files. Just shut up. Just enjoy yourself. Anyway, but there were some fun times, and that was that'll never happen again. A hit song with no lyrics or hit tune, anyway.
So before we open this up to questions from the audience, how do you feel about people remixing the theme song?
I love it.
Oh, good. Oh, great.
Yeah, no, I think that is so flattering, especially when there's a punk rock band who does it, there's a country band that does it, there's a hip-hop group that does it. God, just all kinds of things, and especially when those versions become get played a lot on the radio or wherever. Ka-ching, okay? So I feel just fine about it.
I really want to hear this country version now. After this panel, I'm going to check that out. Okay, so we do have a microphone that's located right at the front of the room, so whatever questions you guys may have, now is your chance. Do you mind asking from the microphone? Go right ahead. What's your name?
Andrea. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. I'm really excited to meet you finally.
My pleasure.
I have a question. When you would, presumably you get the episodes and then you would write the arc of, you'd write the score, right?
Right.
So I have a question. Did you always have to go back and, were you doing post-production editing or they took care of that for your music? I mean, how does that work when you're scoring a show and you're trying to write the arc of the story and you're doing all those things, and then what happens to your music? They take it from there to edit to the film?
Right. No, I get the locked version of the show. Okay, and then I sync it up with my studio equipment and sounds, etc. And I start writing the underscore, the score. And when I think it's ready, I call them and I say, okay, I'm ready. Then they come over, then they listen and they give their comments. And then the music goes to a music editor. He takes it and he brings it to the mix, the mix stage where they combine, the dialogue, the effects, the sound effects, and the music. And that's the end of it. Then it goes on the air, and everyone hopes the ratings are gonna do good.
Very cool.
But in terms of the arc, everything is basically, the thing is shot and it's locked and it's finished, and then I'm kind of the last guy to put sort of a finishing touches on it.
Thank you for Scully's theme as well. It's
You
beautiful,
got it.
very beautiful.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, next question. You guys can line up if it's easiest.
We just want to be blocking the time. I had a question. Would you personally, as an artist, would you prefer when someone says, I would like to have a song that sounds like A, B, and C, and D? Or would you just rather have somebody say, do what you want?
Great.
What's better?
Actually, that's a really great question, because what I love doing, and I think it's been, dare I say, part of my success, is collaborate, right? It's not usual when they say, we love you, do whatever you want, right? They usually say, well, it should be a little like this, but it's not really, and blah, blah, blah. And then I start in, and then they make comments, and I answer them, and then I try something else, and eventually it comes together. So I really respect these people, especially the ones who come to my studio and say, look, I don't know anything about music, but I know what I like, and I know about drama, and I know about the storyline here, and I'll know when you do it right. And we go back and forth, and I'm happy to say that 9 out of 10 times I've done it right after the collaboration. It reminds me very quickly of John Williams, who is probably, arguably, the best traditional orchestral composer dare I say, who's ever lived, right? And you think this guy is going to be full of himself and so. I was at a screening of all things Home Alone, right? And they're playing the movie for John Williams, and I'm way in the back. I forgot how I got in there. But after the movie, you know, these guys are all nervous. What's the great John Williams gonna say? He gets up and he goes, "Oh my God, guys, this is so fabulous. I am so lucky to do your movie," right? And I'm sitting in the back going, "What? Are you crazy? You're the man. You are, I'm so lucky." And then he says, "Can the projectionist stay so I can see it again? I want to absorb how brilliant this is." Okay, you know. So, and he really is that guy. You know, he's so humble. He drives an old Datsun or something like that. He has, I don't know, $300 million or something, but he's amazing man, 85 years old, and he's still writing music. Really.
Well, I concur with what she said. Thank you for Scully's theme, obviously. And also thank you for being part of our lifetime soundtrack. So, thank you.
That's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
That actually leads into my question really well. I was wondering if there are other composers that inspire or that influence your work.
Well, when I think all composers, when they first start out, have their favorites, right? And whether we know it or not, we try to emulate them, you know? And then someone will say, I remember I wrote something and I called my wife and I said, "Hey, do you like this?" And she says, "Well, let's hear it." And I play it and she said, "Oh my God, that's just beautiful. I also liked it when Henry Mancini wrote it." Oh, wow. You know? Oh, all right. Okay. So, but I was really influenced by a lot of the 20th century modernist composers, Prokofiev, Ravel, Bartok, Stravinsky, all that crowd, and a lot of composers before me who have been very successful, like Jerry Goldsmith, etc., have been influenced by that as well. And sometimes it's hard not to, you know, do something that sounds like The Rite of Spring or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hi.
Kurt from the Xcast podcast. One of the things I would like to ask is between seasons 3, 4, and 5, you're obviously really, really busy. You've got Millennium playing. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So between seasons 3, 4, and 5, you've got Millennium going. You've got the film score that you're doing as well. How much of restraint did you need? Because elements did seep into all 3 of those elements with Millennium, X-Files, and the film. How much restraint was needed from you to make sure that they were kept separate between the 3 shows, well, the 2 shows in the film?
Right. Well, the secret was the X-Files was the X-Files, so it wasn't like starting from scratch with a sound. Millennium was the same thing. And the movie, the first movie, was an outgrowth of those mythology scores, that Smoking Man and all that stuff. So that was easy. The hard part was doing them all at the same time. Oh, holy smokes. I was young then, so I could pull that off, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Brilliant, thank you.
Sure. Hi.
Hi, I'm Lori. So you talked earlier about some of the composers who inspired you. What made you decide to go into music, first of all? Was there, and first question. Second question, why a composer as opposed to being an artist or musician in another right?
Okay. So, when I was 10 years old, I don't know if you remember the Lucy and Desi show, Lucille Ball, anyone? Of course. Sure, everyone, sort of, right? So my parents wouldn't let me stay up to watch it. So my mother said, "If you take piano lessons, we'll let you stay up." Oh, okay, so I have to thank Lucille Ball, I guess. Anyway, so I started piano. My father actually was a drummer in the big band era back when, So I kind of picked that up through osmosis, genetic osmosis. I was in a band in the late 60s. It was called the New York Rock and Roll Ensemble. You could look it up. You don't have to listen to any songs. But I also, after starting with drums, I thought, oh my God, schlepping drums around to jobs, that's miserable. Let's find an instrument that folds up in a nice little case. So I chose the oboe. And I got pretty good on it. Cut to, I got into Juilliard playing the oboe. And what was the question?
Yeah, so you ended up doing obviously films, film, TV scores. So
Okay.
why scores as opposed to other types of music?
Why what?
Why scores?
Why scores in particular?
Why score?
Yeah.
Because I heard a score by Jerry Goldsmith for the movie The First Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Okay? And that completely knocked me out because he did crazy things with the music that that's the score. When I heard, I said, I want to do that, and that was a huge influence on me. So into sound, so into the collection of noises and sounds and themes. That was kind of how it started. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
of course.
Hi, my name is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
I just want to thank you for the music for the X-Files. Fantastic. My question is, there was one episode in particular that the music was kind of really, really fantastic, more fantastic than others, was This Is Not Happening, when Scully finds Mulder's body and she's running through the forest, and then the spaceship leaves, and she runs into Jeremiah Smith's room and he's gone. So I was just curious how you came up with that, because it seemed to sync perfectly with her running through the forest and everything, and really fantastic drums and all that stuff. So do you remember how you came up with that, or?
Thank you very much for your kind words. That show was particularly inspiring, and although I don't specifically remember the music at this moment, too bad we don't have something to play a moment of it, but there was something about that, the action and the grandness and the spaceship coming, scooping everyone up, right? Isn't that
Right.
what happened?
That's
yeah.
right.
It was almost, you know what? It was impossible to write bad music for that episode. Because some of the episodes, I would say the average would be, I don't know, like 70% at least of all the episodes were a 10 or an 11. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a motorcycle. Oh, okay. Sounded like some X-File music. But when the shows were that great, I really jumped all over it. It was, quite demanding if you think about it, writing 30 to 40 minutes of music a week, and I had to be on a quota deadline thing that had to be so disciplined. So let's say, for example, I'm writing 5 minutes of music a day. Okay, I miss one day. Guess what? 10 minutes the next day. And I better be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to, start in with that. And I really chose to have banker's hours in a way. I'd start really early, and 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, done. Sometimes I'd go over that, and my wife would call and say, okay, dinner time. Oh, okay. Hours later, she'd say, where the fuck are you? And I said, oh, well, don't worry, I'll be right. And I come in, okay, here it is. My kids, oh, hello, Uncle Daddy, you know. So, anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, so these are going to be the final 3 questions.
Hi, my name is Kate. Thanks for being here. When you scored the movies, you got to work with a full orchestra as opposed to the episodes where you were just on the synthesizer. What were the challenges taking your normal synthesizer music and translating it for a big orchestra in the movies?
Right. Well, what I did with both of them was I did a mock-up of the scores on my, home studio electronics, and that's when the producer and the director, who was the first one? Rob Bowman? Was that Rob Bowman? Yeah. Rob Bowman and Chris and Frank and whoever else came over and listened to it, and then they critiqued it, and they said, yeah, that's good, that's great, oh, that's really good, okay, do that. And then I gave that to an orchestrator, and he wrote it all out for all the instruments. But for me, this was fantastic fun because all the episodes before that were just home studio, But before X-Files, I did scores where I conducted an orchestra, and I knew how to do that, and I just loved working with the live musicians. So it was, a challenge up to a point, but it was a thrill to hear X-Files music with a 80-piece orchestra.
It was a thrill to hear, too. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
So my name is Jessie, and first of all, thank you for everything that you've done. I grew up listening and watching X-Files, and it really had an influence on my life. I'm a musician, and I'm actually performing at X-Fest this weekend. And I wrote a song called Monster of the Week.
Okay.
And it is heavily influenced by X-Files. And this is probably going to backfire, and it's probably a long shot, but I just want to ask you, I only use 23 out of the 26 notes. Do I have your permission to use the theme from the X-Files in my music?
Well, here's the...
I haven't recorded it yet, and I
Okay.
don't have a major label. I do not play my music on the radio, and any sort of and monetary gain literally comes from selling the CDs, which, I mean, some of you guys bought some CDs last night, which that was cool, thank you.
Do you sing too?
I do.
Right, so are you the lead person?
I'm a solo act, actually.
Oh,
it's just
wow.
me and
You
my
and
acoustic
keyboard
guitar.
or guitars? or-
Acoustic guitar.
She's
Wow.
fantastic. She performed last night, and
Oh, wow.
she rocked the house.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, she's great.
Okay, so the answer to the question is, I'd love you to do it. You have my permission. Hold it. Not so fast. Unfortunately, I don't own the music. 20th
exactly.
Century Fox Music Publishing does. And when all these bands and so did, versions of it, they did have to get permission. I am so sorry. I don't want to get
It's
you
not
in.
actually the whole song. I don't know if that makes a difference. I have to do my homework on parody law.
Okay,
'Cause
but-
it's only a portion, and it's slightly different from
No,
what you
but
did.
they have lawyers out there who listen to all this stuff, who say, does that sound like it? And, then they have actually a jury, and people say, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Well, how many? Blah, 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 blah. And so it gets down to that, but I just really don't want you to get in trouble, really.
I
mean,
appreciate
somebody
that.
could call you, some lawyer, and say, do you know, you've done this, and it's illegal, and we're going to sue you, and then we're going to kill you.
That would be, I would try to avoid that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well.
The best part about this is that the song could be done without the intro, but I kind of wrote the song just for X-Fest.
Turn it around. Do it backwards. Da, da, bo, bo, bo,
And
know.
everyone in this room will know that it was originally the other way.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
Jesse.
All right, the final question.
Hi, I'm Abby, and my question is, You said that on a lot of the one-off episodes that it was a really different type of music. What was the most different, wacky, or crazy episode that you did?
Wow. There are so many, and, you know, one thing comes to mind, please don't think that's the only one, or, you know, but I guess because today the tattooed guy is here, you know? Enigma, Mr. Enigma. Wow, do you know that he travels around the country, lives in his cars, and does his shows? It's really quite something.
He's
Am I
performing
right?
this week. Yeah, he performed last night and he's performing tonight.
And
So
he's swallowing swords and puncturing himself with everything.
I closed my eyes for most of it, but
Right.
yes, I believe that was.
Anyway, but it reminded me of the episode called Humbug. Anyone? Okay. That was, you know, there was this Vincent Scarinelli or something. He's passed away now. But when the little twin comes out of his stomach, oh, come on. That was great. And like I said earlier, the, what is it? Was it the Jackson family for the home?
Peacock.
Oh, okay. Peacock. Anyway, that was, and again, it was so out there and strange. It was such a joy to do music for. It wasn't a chore. It wasn't hard. It was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I'm going to really come up with something amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we wrap this up, so things that I've learned, we need to obviously thank Bill from Fox, and we need to thank Lucy. Any final thoughts you want to leave us with here today?
I think, for me personally, you guys don't understand how happy I am being here with you all, mostly because, well, as I said earlier, I'm alone in a room writing music. I mean, I have a wife, I have 3 daughters, I have 4 grandsons, so all that is good. But when I'm busy, I'm there a lot. So to be, as I said earlier, let out, you know, and to come to something like this where very, very smart, informed people I get to talk to and talk to you, it means a lot to me. I'm serious. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad they let you out. One more time, everybody, for Mark Snow!